Dear students, this is a quick revision video of Ind AS 40 investment property. So revise this in maybe less than 30 minutes. So let's quickly get into the standard. Ind AS 40 investment properties. So first we need to study the meaning of investment property. What is an investment property? When do you classify an asset as an investment property? Investment properties are assets. You should study like this in the form of land, building, part of building or both. Land, building, part of building or both. Held for. So land building, part of building is PP, right? No, 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 no. Held for capital appreciation or rental purpose. For rental income. For rental purpose or capital appreciation. And very important third point, and can generate cash flows largely independent of other assets. So it's a land, building, part of building or both. Held for capital appreciation, not using in the business. You are not using in the business, not for production of goods, rendering of service, administration purpose. You are not using it, and specifically for rental purpose or capital appreciation, and it can generate cash flows largely independent of other assets. Then the standard says the asset is not a PP. Show it separately in the balance sheet under the head investment property. Okay. Now, if asset can be used for dual purpose. What do you mean by asset used for dual purpose? A part of this land or building is used for capital appreciation and a part is used for honor occupation. So a part can be considered as a PP, a part can be considered as investment property. Then what you will do? Then what you have to do is you should check whether it is able to split. Able to split the title, whether the title deed is able to split. Yes, if it is able to split, then that portion which is used for honor occupation in day 16, that portion used for rental purpose in days 40. Okay, okay, fine, fine, fine. But if unable to split, what if it is unable to split? You're not able to split. Then if significant portion is honor occupied, if significant portion is honor occupied, then the entire property should be treated as a PP. If significant portion is honor occupied, then it is PPE. If insignificant portion is owner occupied, then investment property. Okay, understood. So it's like meaning. I know meaning. What is an investment property? Asset in the form of land, building, part of building or both, held for capital appreciation or rental purpose, and that asset should be able to generate cash flows largely independent of other assets. Okay, fine. Now, if the asset can be used for dual purpose, able to split, then portion for honor occupation 16, otherwise 40. If unable to split, then significant portion for what purpose is being used is what we should check. Okay, fine. Now, what if the owner is providing ancillary services to the tenant? What do you mean by ancillary services? That is, you are providing, say for example, a building is given on rent. A building is given on rent. To whom you are giving this building on rental basis? To some students in a college. And you are saying you are providing laundry, you are providing security services, you are providing Wi-Fi connection, you are providing them food, canteen is there. Then we are telling that ancillary services which you provide along with the building are significant to the whole arrangement. Once more, ancillary services which you are providing to the students, we consider it as significant to the whole arrangement, because a student will be choosing your building because there are ancillary, all these services are there. It's a prerequisite that a student always need a Wi-Fi connection, need a canteen, need a security. So it's a significant to the whole arrangement. Then analysis is required whether that is a investment property or whether you're doing a hostel business. Okay, so analysis is required. You may have to amend your object clause and add this. You're providing hostel or hotel or lodging because you are providing that much of ancillary services which are significant. But if the services which you are providing is insignificant to the whole arrangement, then there is no doubt Ind AS 40. Okay, fine. Now, the same principles of recognition of investment property, whether for 16, 38, 40, it's the same principle. PPE, intangible assets and investment properties, you are following the same principles, recognition principles. If future economic benefits are expected to flow to your entity and the cost can be reliably measured, then it can be recognized as an asset. Recognition principles. Okay, fine. And what are the measurement principles? If acquisition or self-constructed 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. What is this 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4? Acquisition construction cost can be added. All directly attributable expenditures can be added. All non-refundable taxes can be added. Present value of initial estimate of dismantling, decommissioning, restoration of site expenses can be added. So we can say A plus B plus C plus D is equal to value of investment property or value of an asset. So same 1638, same principles we are following. Exchange. What if you are exchanging one asset with other? If there is commercial substance. What do you mean by commercial substance? Configuration of cash flows are expected to change out of this configuration of cash flows. Amount, timing, risk is expected to change because of this transaction. So if there is commercial substance, then the new asset acquired should be recorded at fair value of asset exchanged. The new asset acquired should be recorded at the fair value of asset exchanged, at the fair value of asset exchanged or fair value of asset acquired, same as that of AS10 which you have studied in intermediate, whichever is more clearly evident. Fair value of asset exchanged or fair value of asset acquired, whichever is more clearly evident. If both are evident, then fair value of asset exchanged. I am clear the asset given up is fair value is 100 and asset acquired fair value is 150. Both are evident, then 100 is having preference. If both are not evident, then an asset from your books is what you are giving up or exchanging. That asset is having a book value. It's at the book value of asset exchanged. Understood. What if there is no commercial substance? It's just a barter. Then asset acquired should be recorded at the book value of asset exchanged. Understood. So what is commercial substance? When out of the transaction, configuration of cash flows are expected to change. That is, then there is commercial substance. Nature, timing, amount of cash flows are expected to change. Then there is commercial substance, or else there is no commercially, cannot be considered as a transaction. Okay. Then what if you have acquired this asset at consolidated price? What if you have acquired, one second. What if you have acquired the asset at consolidated price? Like you acquired land and building at a single price. Land and building you acquired definitely at a consolidated price. Whether we need to allocate? Yes. Allocation should be based on the relative fair value. Allocation should be based on relative fair value. Allocation should be based on the relative fair value. Okay. So what is the fair value of land alone? What is the construction value or fair value of that building? In that ratio, that price has to be allocated. Now, so deferred consideration. You bought the asset in the current year and you are settling in 2025 or 2026. 2 months is the credit terms, but you are settling on after 1 year or 2 years. Then you know it is present value of consideration agreed. If the settlement is beyond the normal credit terms, then present value of consideration agreed. Okay, 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 fine. Understood. Clear. Now, subsequent recognition measurement. Subsequent recognition, how do you recognize this subsequent expenditure? How do you measure that expense? Okay, fine. Subsequent recognition and measurement. If subsequent, so you acquired a land and you constructed a building and subsequently you are incurring some expenditure. That subsequent expenditure incurred satisfies the recognition criteria. The subsequent expenditure satisfied the recognition criteria, like that is future economic benefits are expected to be derived, cost can be reliably measured, such expenditure can be capitalized. If there is replacement of a part, de-recognize the carrying value of existing part, recognize the cost of new part. De-recognize the carrying value of existing part and recognize the cost of new part. Okay. Now, a very important point. Investment properties are subsequently measured always at cost model. Revaluation model is not correct to do. I mean, you should not revalue the asset in the books. It is not permitted. Revaluation model is not permitted. However, so which means we need not revalue the asset. Is that the point? No. However, fair value of investment property is required to be disclosed in the notes. In the notes to accounts, you need to disclose what is the fair value of the asset. If fair value is not determinable, the reasons for the same should be disclosed. Which means it is mandatory for you to disclose the fair value, but don't account it. Don't account it. Accounting is always a cost model. Cost model means cost minus accumulated depreciation minus impairment loss. But do not revalue the asset. But fair value has to be disclosed in the notes. Okay, definitely if it is a building, you need to charge depreciation. There is no doubt about it. Cost model only followed. Revaluation model is not permitted like in Ind AS 16, but fair value requires disclosure. Okay, fine. Then can you make a transfer from Ind AS 40 to 2? What is that? It was an investment property. Now you are reclassifying to an inventory. So I have a huge plot of land. It is held for capital appreciation or rental purpose. Now I am dividing it into few plots and selling each plot. I am held for sale. It is held for sale. Each plot is held for sale in the ordinary course of business. Okay, so you are entering into real estate business and selling these plots. Ind AS 2. So that land which was originally accounted as per Ind AS 40 is becoming Ind AS is to be accounted as per Ind AS 2. Or 40. That land you are going to use owner occupied from investment property, there is a change in the classification to owner occupied property or PPE, property plant and equipment, and vice versa. The 2 to 40, 16 to 40 is transfers possible. Transfers are possible, but if you get a question, you should write transfers are possible when the change in use. Transfers are possible if change in use is evidenced. Transfers are possible if change in use is evidenced. That there should have been a redevelopment of the asset because of that change in use or modification. Then that reclassification or transfer can be done. Point number 2. Reclassification is done. Such reclassification will not change the carrying value, which means that reclassification will be at its existing carrying value. Reclassification will be at its existing carrying value. Now, the third point, which again you need to study, Mere management intentions are not sufficient for reclassification. You decided to reclassify, but that is not enough. For reclassification, the asset should have been developed for new use, which means there should be a change in use which is evidenced. Mere management intentions are not enough to reclassify the asset. Okay, fine. Now, derecognition principle. You can derecognize the asset upon sale, derecognize investment property upon sale, or upon when the asset is held for sale, or no future economic benefits are expected to be derived. That is, asset is withdrawn from its active use. If the asset is withdrawn from its active use, reclassification can be done. Okay. And gain or loss will be transferred to P&L. Okay, fine. Now it is a very important point which we need to discuss. What is that? There is a holding company, subsidiary company, so parent subsidiary. What if subsidiary has leased an asset to parent, or parent has leased an asset to subsidiary, which means there is a land and building in the books of parent holding company. Holding company has given it on rental basis to subsidiary, or subsidiary has given it on rental basis to parent. Either the way, in separate financial statements, that land and building will be accounted as per Ind AS 40 in separate financial statements. But in consolidated financial statements, that land and building should be accounted as, because consolidated financial statements means holding company and subsidiary companies are not two separate companies. Holding and subsidiary together form one company is the concept while preparing CFS. So land and building should be recorded as PP in consolidated financial statements. Once more, meaning, yes, I do remember rental purpose, capital appreciation, land building, part of building or both. Recognition, future economic benefits, cost can be reliably measured. Measurement, yeah, 3-4 measurement principles are there. Subsequent recognition, if criteria is satisfied, recognition criteria is satisfied, it can be capitalized, or else we'll charge the expense to P&L. Measurement subsequently always measured under cost model. Transfers can be done, but change in use should be evidence and cost should be reliably measurable. Derecognition can be done if the asset is sold or held for sale, or no future economic benefits are expected to be derived, or the asset is retired from its active use. If holding within the group, if holding has given an asset on rental basis to subsidiary, or subsidiary has given an asset on rental basis to holding, in separate financial statements, it is held for rental purpose. So Ind AS 40 will apply, but in CFS, Ind AS 16 will be applicable. So that's it, guys, with the theoretical aspects of Ind AS 40. So please go through the questions, and in case of doubt, please comment below. That's it. So we'll come up with another video. Thank you all.